Hello, it's Phillip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers, and I'm looking at a book this morning from Linda Mulcahy, who's Professor of Law at the LSE. It's Legal Architecture. It's this book here, and it's from Routledge. A nice picture on the front, a little blurb on the back. In the book itself, you've got nice photographs. There's a very useful and very detailed bibliography at the back, which you can see there, and then a useful index right at the end in just over 200 words. The copy is very straightforward, no paragraphing or anything. I think it's a very excellent book. There's a review which we've written on Flickr, and we've given it the title Not Mere Buildings, some trenchant commentary on the architecture of justice. And what we say is this: does the architecture of a court building necessarily affect the outcome of the trials that take place within its walls? You might say it shouldn't, but Linda Mulcahy, who's Professor of Law at the LSE, argues convincingly that it might, and presents a body of overwhelming evidence that it does. I have to say, as a practicing barrister myself, that I tend to agree with her. I think if you make the place look austere and horrible, it's going to make a very great deal of difference to a place that's more relaxed and friendly. And we've had all these debates over the last 25-30 years with things like witness suites and so forth. And I really do feel that it's time in the 21st century we address the situation again. Now, what Mulcahy asserts is that the legitimacy of the trial derives from the setting in which its rituals take place. In other words, prescribed procedures, codes of conduct, the law itself, and the resulting documentation. She says public buildings can both inspire and degrade those within them, and they can calm or oppress, and that's exactly what happens. Most people who go to court are terrified. I know that because calming the client is one of the big things that we have to do. We're tempted to digress here by saying, of course, that this utterance should be carved into the stonework on the front of Reba's London HQ in Portland Place, just to remind those guys to have a care in designing public edifices, such as court buildings, in which decisions are made that affect the lives of others, often for generations. Mulcahy also quotes the American Chief Justice Hennessy, who in 1984 pointed out that our courthouses are not merely buildings, rooms and furniture, but are rather monuments that evoke several centuries of human effort and progress. Describing her book quite modestly as a monograph, Linda Mulcahy reveals her extensive and detailed knowledge of this surprisingly vast subject in closely argued yet graceful prose. We've used the word surprisingly because, as it pointed out, there is a dearth of comment or research or informed observation on this subject so far. And of course, Routledge Law have stepped in to help. Legal dinosaurs, and there are plenty of them around, who think that courts should strike terror into the souls of all who venture therein, will not like this book. Most practitioners, though, in my view, will heartily welcome this clear-eyed examination by an incisive mind of the very real issues of legal geography raised in this very readable work, especially in the light of the new technologies that we have, which assist the processes of justice. And I'm sure many of you have been into courtrooms where you see they've just tacked on the closed-circuit television to the link to the jail or the TV set. And there hasn't been any real thought about the way in which the whole thing should be designed. We're still very Victorian in our approach. Let me conclude by saying that to facilitate further research and inquiry, the book lists sources and cases and legislation right at the back, plus this amazing 16-page bibliography. And I think the index as well is a very, very helpful model to dispel the myth that these are just mere buildings, because they're not. So thank you very much to the publishers and to Linda Mulcahy for an excellent book. Bye-bye.